Print London is a collective of professional visual artists whose practices embrace traditional and contemporary print media and the multiple. Their mandate is to stimulate printmaking in the region through promoting the discussion, production, dissemination, and exhibition of print media, and working towards establishing a print center in London. 2020 and 2021 were challenging years for everybody. Print London rose to the challenges presented by the pandemic and continued their mandate to showcase printmaking in London and beyond. They are proud to highlight some of these events. Print London put out a call for submissions in the fall of 2019 for TOMP 2020. TOMP, the Ontario Miniature Print Exhibition, is a juried printmaking exhibition that Print London hosted previously in 2016 and 2017, which encourages artists born or residing in Ontario to submit entries to be considered by a panel of jurors. To help fund TOMP, Print London held a fundraising event in February of 2020. What nobody knew at the time was that this would be the last in-person event that Print London would host for over 2 years. The Trivia Night fundraiser took place at Winks Eatery in downtown London on February 13th and was well attended by Print London members and supporters. In addition to being treated to a night of trivia, good food, and fun, attendees could purchase custom-made, hand-printed greeting cards or bid on the pieces showcased in the silent auction, all of which were made by Print London members. In between rounds of trivia, winning names were drawn for the many fantastic door prizes that were generously donated by our community sponsors. 1 month later, COVID-19 emerged and brought with it lockdowns and uncertainty. As days turned into weeks and cancellations of cultural events and art exhibitions were becoming more widespread, Print London had to decide the fate of TOMP 2020. They decided to proceed and began to put in place a contingency plan in the event that an in-person exhibition would not be possible. The call for submissions was revised with an extended deadline, and artists were asked to submit digital entries for jurying, with the understanding that the physical exhibition may have to be changed to virtual. The call was answered by 43 artists who submitted 146 pieces for consideration by a panel of 3 esteemed jurors. Those jurors were Helen Gregory, Curator, Macintosh Gallery, Libby Hagg, Independent Artist, and Andrew Keir, Head of Collections, Exhibitions, and Programs, Museum London. The jurors reviewed the pieces individually through an online process, then met virtually to compare notes. They selected 81 prints for the exhibition and awarded first, second, and third prizes, along with 5 honorable mentions. The exhibition was installed in Satellite Project Space and ran from July 29th to August 15th, 2020. The jurors met in person at the gallery and were finally able to see the pieces they had selected. There were restrictions placed on the number of visitors permitted in the gallery at any given time, and social distancing and masking requirements were in effect. In order to expand the reach of TOMP, Print London shared a virtual exhibition online in video format, which enabled participating artists from across Ontario and their supporters to view the exhibit. Since an in-person opening reception was not possible due to gathering restrictions, Print London hosted a virtual live-stream opening reception on August 5th over Zoom and social media, which attracted over 200 attendees. The jurors announced the prize winners at the virtual opening reception. First prize, Karen Fletcher. Second prize, Colette Riddle. Third prize, Andrew Moore. And honorable mentions, Susan Cartwright, Robert Creighton, Bev Funnell, Zane Pate, and Kathy Sennett. Print London warmly thanks their sponsors, Museum London and Satellite Project Space, for their ongoing support, as well as the London Arts Council for its generous CAPE grant that allowed them to publish an exhibition catalogue. Encouraged by the positive reception of TOMP 2020's virtual events, in 2021, Print London hosted Mastering Lithography, Tips from the Pros speaker series, which were virtual talks featuring Canadian master printers. On June 16, 2021, master printer Jill Graham presented virtually from NASCAD University's printmaking studio in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Jill shared with the audience her archive of prints and walked them through her years as a master printer and the collaborations she enjoyed with numerous artists and printmakers. The works drew a visual timeline of her career, from her apprenticeship at Atelier Circulaire in Montreal, to Open Studio in Toronto, to the Tamarind Institute of Lithography in Albuquerque, New Mexico, to South Africa, to NASCAD in Halifax, to Cape Dorset in Nunavut, and finally back to NASCAD. She discussed the relationship between the artist and master printer, which was highlighted with a post-talk greeting by audience member and longtime collaborator Andy Poskovich. The second virtual talk was given on June 23, 2021 by esteemed printmaker Otis Tamashowskis, who presented virtually from his studio in Gananoque, Ontario. Otis regaled the audience with his colorful recollections of collaborating with over 50 Canadian artists during his career as a master printer. His stories were inspired by his time teaching at McMaster University and Queen's University, as well as his time spent as a custom printer in etching and lithography at Open Studio in Toronto. Otis shared with the audience an impressive number of prints and discussed their conceptual development and the technical approach that was undertaken. His stories wove a tale of interactions between artist and printer, and between artist, and the relationships that were developed in the print studio. He concluded his presentation by showing his newer works and demonstrating his innovative approach to creating lithography plates. The third and final speaker in the series was Puri Tong, who presented virtually on June 30th, 2021 from Open Studio in Toronto, Ontario. Puri began his presentation by sharing his own work and describing the processes involved. He recounted diving deep into photolithography and showed pieces that culminated in an MFA thesis exhibition at NASCAD in Halifax. He also presented examples of his work in stone lithography and digital experimentation. He continued by discussing some of his more recent custom printing projects. As a collaborative printer, Puri describes himself as a translator who facilitates converting the artist's vision from one medium into another. He shared photos of pieces and installations in which he collaborated with artists at Open Studio. In between the larger-scale events and throughout the various stages of lockdown, Print London ran some smaller-scale virtual member-only programming that was geared towards raising morale and keeping members engaged in printmaking and the printmaking community. Beginning in the fall of 2020, Print London members began meeting virtually for monthly gatherings. As a result of the increase in virtual programming during the pandemic, Print London's membership grew to include printmakers from as far away as Windsor and Thunder Bay. On October 17, 2021, Print London held its annual general meeting and celebrated its 7th birthday. Virtually, of course. Attendees were treated to talks by member printmakers Andrew Moore and Elisa Beth Engel. In the fall of 2021, Print London held its first ever virtual silent auction fundraiser. They collaborated with London and area artists and artisans who donated their works to be auctioned off. The auction opened on October 24th, and hopeful competitors placed bids on pieces through the Facebook event page until October 31st. The final hours of the event were also live-streamed to Instagram. The silent auction was a resounding success and set the groundwork for future online silent auctions. Funds raised from this event have been earmarked for initiatives that Print London has planned for the upcoming year. Print London is very excited to announce 2 exhibitions forthcoming in 2022. The first exhibition, in 2 places, will run simultaneously in 2 locations: the Brighton Storeroom in St. George, Barbados, and Satellite Project Space in London, Ontario. It will open on June 25th, 2022 in London, and June 16th, 2022 in Barbados. The participating artists include printmakers represented by the Brighton Storeroom in Barbados and members of Print London. 2 scholars, Alison Thompson from Barbados Community College and Patrick Mann from Western University in London, will write essays that will be included in an exhibition catalogue. The second upcoming exhibition is Print London's biennial initiative, TOMP, but this year it has gone national. A call for submissions has been sent out inviting printmakers from across Canada to submit up to 4 miniature prints in any printmaking medium or combination of mediums for consideration by a panel of 3 jurors. This year's jurors are David Bobier, media artist, curator, founder, and director, Vibra Fusion Lab; Cassandra Getty, curator of art, Museum London; and Jen Law, artist and co-editor of Art and Reading. The exhibition will be held at Satellite Project Space from August 17th to 27th, 2022, and an opening reception is planned for August 20th. Building on the success of the virtual elements introduced during the pandemic for TOMP 2020, Print London intends for TOMP 2022 to be a hybrid in-person and virtual exhibition that will include both an in-person opening reception and a virtual one. Print London would like to sincerely thank all of the individuals and organizations that have supported us over the years with our endeavors. We would not have been able to achieve this level of success without your support, and we are extremely appreciative.